Last time on Repairing History Together.
We have built this country together. We have overcome adversity of barbaric principles that we now look back on and criticize. We're in the freest place on earth. All of us work together. There ain't no laws against black people. There ain't no law in the book that applies to black people and white people differently. Matter of fact, if you discriminate against somebody criminally, that's a hate crime. It's against the law. We need to stop all this stuff, man. We need to come together. We need to start focusing on individuality. We need to try to better our country in the ways that we can. And for all you cowards out there that don't want to do nothing together and you want to just sit on the sideline and bash everybody and talk about white privilege, just stay on the sideline, man.
It's time to take a stand and repair our history. Thomas Sowell has shown us the way. It's time to start winning reality. We've been divided for far too long. It's time to come together and be strong. We can learn from our mistakes and make a brighter future for everyone. We have the power to make a change. All it takes is courage and faith. So let's stand up for what's right and make history together.
This is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Greetings and welcome to Repairing History Together. I'm Winning Reality. How you doing? Welcome to the show, everybody out there on Rumble, X, and YouTube. Thank you for being here this evening. We got Cool Gamer saying hello. He's in the front row. How you doing, Cool Gamer? And we got Shelly saying hello to Cool Gamer in the front row. How you doing? And how's everybody else doing out there? We see Daisy Girl over there on Rumble. Hello, Daisy. How you doing? First to Rumble, rock and rolling. All right. We have a nice show for you this evening. First, repairing history together of the new year. So, yeah, we have a lot to discuss this evening. We're going to do some just some clip stuff and just kind of watch and see what's been going on, catch up and all that fun stuff. First, I'd like to talk about, the key purposes and whatnot for the show. The show, of course, started as repairing history, and that was moving into the did a whole series on that, and that went through all the history, filling in the gaps, putting in the omitted parts through the Thomas Sowell's work, and we've had a lot of fun doing that, and that kind of like wrapped up the whole repairing history part of it. There's always more to talk about, but the core elements of making it through that step by step, right, have been accomplished in 2023. We did do that, and we also had a co-host for a while that didn't quite get it, but we had some interesting conversations, and we learned a lot from that. Like some of the things that need to happen in order to actually bridge the gap and actually start working in towards unity and away from division. Of course, that history repair is the key thing for the generational cure, right? Because when they can't screw the history, they can't mess with the present, right? So we went through that and basically then got into the role model leadership aspect of it, and what that means, right? And so in trying to explain this to my former co-host and so on, actually what this looks like, right? And why it's important. It's because there's so many bad examples out there right now that kids in the Black community and just kids in general are growing up with, and it's a everybody problem. And staying tribalized and staying living in the past is only going to let the bad guys win. And getting that message out has been the key thing about this show and others that are like it, you know, is making sure that people understand that division is one of their big weapons. And if you can divide a population, you can control a population, and that's what they do, is divide and they pick sides, and you can see where their interests lie right now. And that's to kind of breaking down the country and keeping it in chaos, right? It gives them a need to be there and a need to put in new things to change things, and it all seems to go their way. So that's why it's so important that we keep this in mind, right? And we're always trying to work forward, no matter what, no matter who stands in the way or what kind of crazy nonsense is out there trying to come up the works, that we plow through it. So, in trying to explain that, right? Brandon Tatum is basically, you know, one of those guys, and people have their opinions about him, and I don't really understand a lot of the bad opinions about him. I really don't. Some people are just, you know, just have to be contrary. I don't know, but anyways, I think he what he's doing with this channel and what he's doing with his plans, right, is heading in the right direction. It's really personifying role model leadership, which is what I thought of when I came up with the concept of it. I was like, this is there are people out there doing it right now. They're, you know, they are to ever all come together and realize that, you know, this is what it takes, and working together selflessly, that there would be no stopping that from, you know, from the problems that exist in the Black community to get fixed. And generationally speaking, like over the course of time, it would eventually work itself out. People are looking up to people that are working hard, keeping their families together, staying true to themselves, having integrity, but also being kind to others, and trying to work with people instead of against them, you know. So I want to start tonight out by kind of showing what this looks like when it's put together, right? Because this week, I don't know if anybody caught this or not, Brandon Tatum came out with his own platform, which is like, you know, that's awesome. You know, he has come a long ways from what he's been doing. And let's see, why is this not okay? Hold on, I'm trying to get it queued up here. Is my screen too big? Nope. All right. YouTube is just being weird. Hold on a second. But I wanted to show you what it looks like when it all comes together, like what the final package looks like. Why is YouTube acting so weird? All right. All right, so that works. Okay, here we go. So check this out. It's called Tatum Plus. It's this new deal here. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Check this out. It's got all the elements. And as you watch this, think about like what we were talking about over the course of role model leadership, all of the end of last year, and when it was repairing history with Gary. Just to take a look at what it looks like when someone's actually really doing it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Tatum Plus.
Brandon Tatum.
Is it okay to marry more than one woman?
Well, no, because marriage is like a covenant. Marriage is
That is the purest idea of white supremacy. Concept called Content Classroom. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to After Hours at the Tatum Lounge. Y'all don't normally catch me in this element. I'm in my warehouse right now, the headquarters.
He's got like relationship. He's got chill zone. You know, he just chills and just talks. Cigar lounge. He's got a content classroom, all wrapped up into a real platform. Check this out. And this is his warehouse where he does all his own merch. This is what hard work looks like when you're doing it.
Right here in Scottsdale, I got my people over here. We're getting all your orders out, getting them out as fast as possible. Y'all would say what's up to the camera over there. Look, I love my team, man. That's my favorite part of what we do here. But I want to tell you a little bit about Tatum Plus. And so follow me right upstairs. I say follow me with your eyes. Right upstairs, that's my office over there where I do the content classroom. I'm teaching people how to develop your content, how to get yourself to the point where you're turning your passion into a paycheck. Sometimes you have to do it once a month for years and years and years. Be your authentic self, good, bad, and indifferent. I want to talk to you guys about Love in Black and White. It is one of the most intimate conversations that I've ever had, and nobody's ever heard me and my wife talk like this.
I was just so annoyed. Like, you're in your 40s or 50s, I'm in my 30s, and that's all the effort you can put forth is to go get a cup of coffee, like go to Starbucks, get some coffee. I was offended. Also, me, I love coffee. Coffee's like favorite part of my day.
She said coffee was one of her favorite things. What if coffee was his favorite thing to do? If he was a coffee connoisseur and he could take you to the place where the best coffee in the city.
You want to fly me
that's
to
legendary,
Colombia where they make the coffee?
Well, maybe he would. Would that be a date if he flew you to Colombia?
Maybe.
See, there you go. It's all over. Ladies and gentlemen, you're screwed. Man, you're screwed. When we talk to you about should a man pay on the first date? How should we develop in relationships? How does dating go? What you should and should not do? And then we answer all of your questions. A lot of people have questions about, dating life, being single, what it's like being married, having children, all of those things. We touch on those in the relationship channel called Love in Black and White. And I know a lot of you guys love Corinne anyway, and you've been dying to hear her talk and her content. So that's a great way to check that out. I think that people will be healed. People will be delivered from this concept of hating marriage, or even people who are single. You can be, I would say, excel in your singleness until God send you the right person. Let's talk about the Cigar Lounge, which is.
So he's got a whole new show about relationships with him and his wife, right? Where they're talking about marriage, how to make relationships work, how to get to a good relationship, so on and so forth. All on his own platform.
I like to say that the relationship is my favorite because it's my favorite because I have an opportunity to do content with my wife. But Cigar Lounge is an intimate conversation between me and you, smoking a cigar, relaxing, having a little bourbon, and having real conversations. Y'all not going to believe the stuff that we talk about in the Cigar Lounge after hours with your boy B Tatum. And it just gives you a sneak peek on who I am and kind of the intimate things that normally people don't talk about on social media because it's hard to understand. But for the people that love me, the people that have been following me, that want to hear real conversations about manhood, about lust, whatever the case may be, what about things that people are really struggling with, I deal with them smoking a cigar, the finest cigars, mind you, in the Cigar Lounge right here at the headquarters. So make sure you tune in. If you love cigars,
Good luck.
if you love
We're
bourbon,
all
and you
counting
love
on
real
you.
conversations, you do not want to miss after hours at the Cigar Lounge with your boy B Tatum. So
That
with
kind of
all
reminds,
of that being
kind of
said,
reminds
make sure
me
you
of
join Tatum Plus. Do it now. Don't waste your time. Do it
all right. That kind of reminds me of Nick's Locals there.
right now.
There you go. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It wasn't really an ad, but anybody? Hold on a second. Let me stop sharing that. This tab has been laggy. All right. So anyways, yeah, that's what it looks like when you actually have a vision for how to get out there and do the right thing, and you can make a business out of it. You're using all of his skills, putting them all together, thinking of this ways to make the whole channel work and be of value for people that want to check it out. So imagine if more people were watching that and then just learning from that, saying, hey, I want to be successful like this guy, or how much further that would help young audiences, kind of like develop themselves. I think that's more like 100 more of this, 100 more of that happening, plus, and we're on the right path. People that are just willing to say, here's how you do it right. You can be successful. There's nothing holding you back, and it all has to do with your attitude and your knowledge, right? So I thought that was really good news, and I wish him the best of luck on that. So that should be a really, really cool thing for a lot of folks. But that's what it should look like, man. That's it all coming together right there. Built the audience, has the ideas, has the motivation, has the goals, has the drive, and gets to work. And that's what he does. He doesn't sit around and wait for it. And ain't worrying about, he worked his ass off so he could do this. That's what the hard work paid off. Now he's his own boss, for real. That's how it's done. So, actually, real quick kind of interview. It's not the complete interview, but it's part of the interview. I thought it was actually a little bit longer than this. But Tatum did get a chance to interview Vivek, and he's been talking about Vivek for a minute. So I thought this would be actually a really interesting interview for us to watch here on the show, and just to kind of see the kind of questions he'll ask and the kind of conversations they'll get into. And then we have another one with him going off on the media. So it's pretty good. Get this set up. Man, it's just like dragging. I don't know what they're doing tonight on the servers, but oh yeah, hold on, let me slow this down. It's really laggy. Maybe it's just because they suck. All right. We can put the whole interview up. We gotta join. Like here it is. Get access. Good job. All access. All right, let's go with this. It's about 8 minutes. How's everybody doing out there tonight? Did you? Yeah, I think that like YouTube's like really kind of being dicey right now. The good thing we're also over there on Rumble and X, and I appreciate everybody that's watching on those platforms. Please give me a thumbs up and a follow. Help me grow outside of YouTube. I appreciate it. And I do a lot of shows, and a lot of exclusives are going to be happening on X and Rumble from here on out. So hope you guys will stick around and come back and check it out. All right, so let me get this up here. And share it. See what I'm saying? It's like laggy, right? Like I hit full screen and it's just sitting there. It doesn't know what to do. Hold on, get this straight. Bad presentation here. Man, it's slow. This is getting hard to work with. All right. Oh my god. It's so clunky. I don't know what they're doing, but it's really hard to work with. It's it's like so bad. Oh my god. I don't know what's going on. Like I hit full screen and it went like way up in the corner. Oh, always fun. Okay. All right, try this again. It doesn't want to go into full screen mode. Is what it is. I don't know why it's doing this. Oh man, it's really like screwing up bad. There we go. Finally, man. Quick before something else happens. All right, here we go. Put it on the screen.
Goes
Action.
on to be the president. If he picks you as the vice president, would you accept it? Ladies and gentlemen, we're back again. A special interview on the Tatum Plus Network. And I want to thank you all for all coming out. We got a whole audience here that's watching. You probably
Nice.
can't see it behind the camera.
Good audience.
But y'all make some noise. So this has to be one of the most anticipated interviews. So we're just going to get right into it. I got a special guest, Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, I've been waiting to have this conversation with you in person because we did an interview online.
I know. It's good. You're bigger in 3D. I like that.
But since then, man, you've been just destroying the Republicans on the debate stage. Can you talk to us about how you feel about the campaign and how does it feel beating up all the Republicans in the debate and really keeping it almost, I would say Trump-esque, but you're your own person.
Yeah.
But I feel like you do a really good job at calling them out and being transparent to the American people. So what's your thoughts on the campaign so far?
My thoughts are pretty unconstrained. I think that I'm at my best when I'm unrestrained. I'll tell you, I'd rather lose an election and speak the truth than to win by playing some political snakes
There
and
you go.
ladders game. And so, I'm new to politics. I was in the world of business beforehand. I started this campaign in February, and there's times where you can feel the pressures that otherwise would say, hey, well, maybe you soften the way you say that or whatever. That didn't work for me. And so I've really just taken the shackles off. And that's what I've done most of this campaign. I'm at my best that way. So I feel good about it. And my view is if that's what the people want, that's what they're going to get in me. That's what I'm volunteering to do.
And that's one thing I love about you. And another thing is that you're a young man. How old are you? 38?
I'm 38.
30. I'm 36.
Okay.
And so I'm inspired by the things that you do, how you stand up for yourself.
I appreciate
But
that.
how does it feel, man? I know you get a lot of pushback on it. People are questioning, can a 38-year-old man run the country? And you've been doing a really good job in word. But what's your argument against a person saying you're too young, you don't have the life experience? Yes, you started a bunch of successful businesses and have run them, but you're only 38 years old. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that if you want somebody who's been tried and true in government and that has had years of political experience or whatever, I'm not your guy. I believe, though, that not having that experience is actually an asset. I actually believe that coming in with fresh legs, with a different perspective, unconstrained, without being in this, and it's sad I have to say this, but without being into politics for making the money on the back end of it. You have countless other people that are in this to enrich themselves or their families, be it Biden, be it Haley, be it others. It happens on both sides of the aisle. And I think it's going to take somebody who isn't beholden to that system to actually break it up and shake it up. Thomas Jefferson was 33. He was younger than both of us when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. So if the guy who can set this whole ball game into motion, he was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration. I think there's a reason why. It's not a coincidence. It takes somebody whose best days in life are hopefully still ahead to see a country whose best days can be ahead of itself too. I believe that. And so there's a reason these revolutions, these revivals, they tend to be led by the next generation. I think that's what it's going to take. And, if you look even in my schedule this week, we were in 29 counties in the last 5 days. We've done 10 events some of these days. That's how we're going to work for this country. And I think that's what it's going to take to revive who we are. So my view is, I don't like to boast about my business accomplishments, but I've taken on bureaucracies. I took on Big Pharma, developed a bunch of medicines they refused to develop, built a multi-billion-dollar company doing it. I started the leading anti-ESG firm that was Strive, that was competing directly against BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard. We crossed over $1 billion in assets under management after launching our first fund. That's twice as fast as it took JP Morgan to get to the same place as an established financial institution when they got into the same line of business. So I'm a believer in taking on bureaucracies. When I do, I tend to win, and I don't intend to stop now. Take on the biggest one of all. It's the federal bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. And I think it's going to take somebody, and Trump brings this and I bring this, with sharp elbows. But it also takes somebody with sharp elbows who understands the law and the Constitution. And I think I'm the only person who brings both of those things to the table. I couldn't sit by and be a passerby. I believe God puts us here for a purpose. I believe it's my duty to follow that purpose, and that's what I'm doing in this race. And if that's what the people of this country want, and my sense is that's exactly what's going to happen, then we're going to succeed and lead this country.
Awesome. Now, the elephant in the room, Donald Trump is up in the poll by a crazy amount.
Yeah.
He seemed to be gaining momentum over time.
Yeah.
Do you think the polls are consistent with what the American people are feeling in this race?
So I think nationally, there's a very good chance they are.
No.
I think in Iowa, they're not, actually. I spend a lot of time there right now. So, and I think that's only true for me. It's not true of the other candidates. It's true for me for one reason. A lot of the people who are coming to that Iowa caucus, for us, they're first time ever. So they're young people. Some of them are libertarian. Some of them are America first, but have not been traditional Republicans before. So, anybody can make a prediction and be wrong. But I think we're going to see a major surprise, not a small surprise, a major surprise at the Iowa caucus. If all of those people who are supporting me, who have never participated in that process before, show up, I think there's a good chance I win the Iowa caucus, actually. And that's, I think, is going to send a shockwave through the system. Now, I love Trump and his accomplishments for the country. Other people, I mean, these other candidates, every one of them, they've been licking his boots for years, and now they're begging for money and endorsements, and now Monday morning quarterbacking some decision. I'm not that way. I respect his accomplishments, but I do think it's going to take somebody from the next generation with fresh legs to take our America First movement. It belongs not to me, not to you, not to Trump. It belongs to the people of this country. That's who this belongs to. And we got to take that to the next level. And so I believe I'm going to be best positioned to do that. If I deliver a shock in Iowa, I think I'm going to be the next president. And I think I'm going to deliver a shock in Iowa.
In a hypothetical world, Donald Trump goes on to be the president. If he picks you as the vice president, would you accept it? Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the interview between me and Vivek Ramaswamy. What
Love to hang out on that one.
I really enjoyed that interview. And if you want to see the rest of the interview, you have to
Smart,
go to
though.
tatumplus.com.
You check it out. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good. Not very long though. I can get the entire one. I had to sign up for Tatum Plus though, and do that beforehand. All right, so let me get back here in the middle. Yeah, I don't think it's ready yet. I don't know about the humbling part, but the just more experience, I think. All right, so if I might give it a bit of a hard time here. I'm trying to just go back to there we go. Okay. All right, so I saved this other one too. Where was it at? Okay, I'll find it when I watch this one. All right, so also this week, oh my God, YouTube is going so slow. What is going on? All right, so look, check out this in the beginning of this one. We're gonna watch this from BCP, Black Conservative Perspective, Greg Foreman. And it's gonna take a while to get ready because YouTube is running really slow tonight. How's everybody doing out there this evening? All right, we're almost there. It's just YouTube's running really slow. I don't know if it's me or YouTube, but I usually don't have this many problems. These kind of laggy problems. All right, so I think we're ready. Bring this back up. Get here. All right, so check this out. This is very interesting. This is what he was saying last night on Tim Pool, but he really dials it in here. So check this out.
It's not even Gavin Newsom. It's Nikki Haley. It's in our own party. Well, today, one more step in that plot unfolds. Chris Christie drops out. Next up, I'm going to make a prediction. You're actually going to see Ron DeSantis join Nikki Haley's ticket. He's going to be her VP. The whole game, it's hiding in plain sight. Whatever it takes. And this system will stop at nothing. And I mean nothing. To eliminate Donald Trump from contention. It's disgusting. But the same people who have said they're not going to actually take a principled stand against Trump's removal from the ballot. Haley and DeSantis are both in that category. Do the math, people. That's next up. Ron DeSantis is after Iowa. Everybody, including Chris Christie, apparently got a phone call from Ron DeSantis. Panicked was the word that Chris Christie used. This is the way the plot's going. Ron may not know this. Ron DeSantis may not know this, but that's what his donors are going to make him do. That's what's coming next. Ron DeSantis will become Nikki's VP, whether or not Ron knows it. It's not really his choice. He's not the one in charge of that decision.
Can you imagine?
And then the plot continues. We have to open our eyes and not fall into their trap. Our America First agenda cannot end. Our movement cannot end with Donald Trump when they take him out from contention. And if you think this system is going to even let this man get anywhere near the White House, we need to open our eyes. We need to do the right thing for our country. They are selling us the rope today that they're going to use to hang us tomorrow. Do not fall into the trap, people. And that's why I'm here.
All right, guys. So once again,
So real quick on that, right? So he's doubling down on that prediction, right? That what they're going to do is they're going to try to combine the candidates, basically the top two candidates, Haley and DeSantis, and they're going to try to get the nomination that way. And that they're going to run the left-right paradigm from the right for a while, right? Well, that's what they used to do. So that's what I said when Trump didn't win back in 2020. I said neocons are coming back for the party. This is what my whole point has been about this election, is that the hold on, let's put this there for a minute. That we need to be very aware of this one fact, right? They are coming back for the party, and then they're going to slam the door, shut it, lock it, and make sure nobody ever gets through again. That was such a big win for us when we actually kicked that door down and got through, because it busted up that false left-right paradigm, right? We actually had two distinct choices for once, and it wasn't just a smoke and mirrors like heel face wrestling match. So he's calling it out from his point of view. Vivek is, and he's saying this is what he believes is going to happen, right? And I don't think that he's that far off. I mean, there's no doubt everybody who was running against Donald Trump in the party were doing it so to, except for Vivek, who was there to play the spoiler, right? There to be the, I guess in his own words, the contingency plan. So if what he says comes true, then he'll be kind of standing there as the option, right? I don't know how that's all going to work out. I mean, see, this is when it comes down to election experience, and I know that it reminded me a lot of the Ron Paul kind of thing. It's like we were like, okay, well, we have this other option. We didn't have a strong command over the nomination then. So it was supposed to be this other option to go away from the establishment picks. And people just never, a lot of people didn't get the message, right? But it kind of feels like we're falling back to that if that's the case. I hope that that's not what works out. I mean, I hope that we're able to muscle through it with enough light on everything that he gets all the way to the general election. We gotta hope so. But I think that he makes a good point. We should stay vigilant during this time about what's going on in terms of what they're plotting to do. Because if you think that they're happy about the situation right now on the right, they're not. I mean, as far as the establishment right goes, they're not. They haven't been for a long time. They've been waiting for their chance to get that get their little Trojan horse back, if you will. So anyways, I think he made a good point there. Let's watch the rest of this. This is actually really good, and guess we'll enjoy this. Here you go.
we got to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, because he's doing something that I've never seen a Republican really do, at least to the level that he's doing it, which is to hold the mainstream liberal media accountable, right? Hold them accountable for their lies that they have been telling the American people. And the fact is that they have not been held responsible for the numerous lies that they've told, right? These lies have affected the outcome of elections. They have significantly impacted how Americans think about politics and what is going on in our country. And again, these people are never held accountable for the falsehoods that they consistently spew on their platform. So Vivek Ramaswamy is going to flip the script on the mainstream liberal media, okay, and basically try to hold them accountable for their lives, and it is a thing of beauty, right? And I want to
So
talk
was
about this
X
clip, but I also want to talk about
7.4
another
million
warning
views.
that Vivek Ramaswamy is putting out there about what is going on in the GOP primary, because this is basically an expansion of my video that I did about Krispy Kreme dropping out of the GOP primary, and how this is a subtle way that the establishment tries to rig things in their favor. And this is something that Vivek is talking about. And I don't think enough conservative commentators are really calling out something that happens on both sides of the political aisle. And we're going to talk about a little bit of history here, okay? Because what is happening in the GOP primary is reminding me of what happened during the Democrat primary in 2020. And that is something I think people need to understand going into the Iowa and New Hampshire primary. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and react to Vivek flipping the script on the mainstream liberal media, and then we're going to get into a deeper conversation. So without further ado, let's get into it.
This is okay. And I'm just kind of curious on the previous question that you those 4 things that were provably false.
Yes.
Were in the, and I'm just kind of curious. I know some of these guys, we've been following some of you guys. I'm curious if there's any national media who actually believe that they were that those viewers.
Actually, it's a good question, Eddie. So Eddie's one of the, you guys are colleagues, 2 of the top state reps here. And I think that's a good thing to be curious about. Just by show of hands, who here is willing to admit that the Trump-Russia collusion hoax was indeed incorrectly reported by the mainstream media? Is there anybody here able to admit that was incorrect reporting?
It wouldn't be really appropriate for us to answer a question like that.
Why not? Why would that be inappropriate? I think it would be inappropriate. What's inappropriate is lying to the public.
We're doing our job asking.
Was the public lied to, or did the media report on this set of facts that were provided?
So that's a fair question. I actually think that the public was lied to long after the media systematically still understood that this was the product of the Steele dossier. The Steele dossier was a piece of Russian disinformation provided by the Hillary Clinton campaign that was served up to the federal government as a basis for issuing a FISA warrant to then potentially infiltrate a member of the opposition party.
Facts. Now, again, the Steele dossier is the same document that alleged that Trump likes to get peed on by Russian prostitutes, okay, and all types of nonsense that the mainstream liberal media should have known was garbage, okay? They should have questioned it more. Now, there was some people in the mainstream liberal media that were skeptical, but again, outlets like MSNBC basically peddled it as if it was like the Bible, okay? This is what they did. And that served as a basis to launch a government investigation that wasted millions of taxpayer dollars looking into Trump and pushing his narrative that Trump is an illegitimately elected president, right? That's what happened. Now, the mainstream liberal media can say, well, we just reported on the set of facts at the time. And that may be true for some outlets, but it's not like they went back and corrected themselves and say, hey, guys, we're sorry for peddling this narrative. We got it wrong, right? They don't ever come out and just say, hey, we got it wrong, and continuously remind the people that we got it wrong and this is what we're doing to correct it. They don't do that, right? They get it wrong and then they just keep moving about their lives, right? With no consequences whatsoever. And that's the problem. It's the same thing with the Hunter Biden story, which, you know, of course, Vivek will bring up here. They don't go back and say, hey, you know what, we got it wrong, right? We were wrong to say it was Russian disinformation, okay? That's what CNN was saying, right? It's Russian disinformation.
That's some Southern
Whoop Blitzer didn't come out here and say, you know what, we were wrong for saying that. We were wrong for saying that this was a product of Rudy Giuliani and he's working with the Russians and all that other stuff. You know, the stuff they was making up. They don't do that, okay? So as loud as you reported it,
right? Never any consequences for the bad reporting. Never any consequences. Never any walking it back. Never any apologies. Never any setting the record straight. That's when you know that it's a rigged game, because they understand they can just get the message out there and then be like, oh, okay, all right, but they never have to go back and correct it. So it stay lodged in people's brains that don't ever see the truth come out.
You need to be about correcting it, but they never are. So when asked to correct it, or to admit that it was wrong, oh, well, we should have to answer questions, right? We're the media. We ask you the questions, right? We report what we want. Don't ask us questions when we get it wrong. We only ask you questions. You have to answer the questions, okay? Again, it's amazing how that works. No accountability.
If this was Bush and Cheney doing it to John Kerry, this would have been the stuff of scandal, impeachment, and worse. And yet, I think it was an intentional lie that the media said that that account, which we now know to be true, was actually the Russian disinformation. Now, Shauna, I would be charitable in my interpretation of that if it were just one instance.
What happened to retractions?
Let me give an easier one. Just by show of hands, does anybody believe the media's reporting about the origin of COVID-19 ran flatly in face of the facts that you have a Wuhan Institute of Virology that was now the likely origin of the COVID-19 pandemic?
T-Rex.
You all said that it wasn't for a long time. By show of hands, was the Wuhan lab the likely origin of the COVID-19 pandemic? Everybody, media or not?
There we go. One dude raised his hand.
So you have reported, the same media that has reported that the COVID-19 pandemic did not originate in a lab in Wuhan is willing to even say, unwilling to admit today.
The report came out in 2023, so I guess
it was known that there was a Wuhan Institute of Virology where they were conducting gain-of-function research, the very city which was the origin of a global pandemic. And yet the media's explanation was that somehow it could have been any source other than actually having started in a lab.
Exactly. And if you said that, then you were not only smeared as a conspiracy theorist, but a lot of people lost their livelihoods. They lost their income over it because big tech and social media was censoring based off this as well, right? So again, a lot of people that came up here and said that, stated that, hey, I theorized that the virus may have come from a lab. Okay, it might have been a lab leak. Yeah, I mean, you were getting deleted from the internet, okay? But again, where's the accountability? That's the point here. Where's the accountability? Not only are these people never held accountable, okay, even though they've ruined people's lives, they've ruined people's reputations over it. They're not held accountable, and they're also never required to apologize and come out and to correct their reporting and say, hey, we were wrong. We were wrong to smear people as conspiracy theories for simply asking questions and theorizing that, hey, maybe this could have came from a lab. Again, it's amazing. We were only allowed to talk about it or to speculate that it came from a lab once the mainstream liberal media started speculating that it came from a lab. And the only reason they did that is because the facts became so undeniable that that could be a probable origin of the virus that they simply had to report on it, right? They had to tell the truth. Again, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I just think that that's systematically unacceptable. The Hunter Biden laptop. Is the Hunter Biden...
Hold on a second. T-Rex, what? I'm good. You got kicked off the property for showing up too early? I have to get, they're like, get out of here. What are you doing here early? Get. Kick him out, guys. What happened, T-Rex? Tell us what happened.
Laptop story, as reported by the New York Post, which was shut down, had the Twitter account locked for anybody who is even sharing the story of the Hunter Biden laptop found on the eve of the last election. The media reported that it was Russian disinformation on the eve of that election. Does anyone here agree that the Hunter Biden laptop story, as reported by the New York Post, was indeed accurately reported and was not Russian disinformation, but was in fact a factually owned laptop of Hunter Biden? I mean, you got to, man. I mean, your paper reported it. Does everybody else seriously not believe that?
I mean, I believe that Hunter Biden is suing Rudy Giuliani over the laptop, so I don't think so.
So you don't believe, so you think that it actually was the product of Russian disinformation, as was reported by the media? That was the basis for suppressing this at the time.
For the Hunter Biden case, yeah. I'm not sure why we're talking about that.
Because it was election interference on the eve of the last election. And I think there's the same kind of election interference happening this time around. And I think it's happening, the early waves of it with respect to the treatment of my candidacy. And I think that that is likely to be a major problem heading into the next year, unless we're able to openly and transparently acknowledge the mistakes of the past. Without acknowledging the mistakes of the past, I think we are destined for an even more dangerous future. And I do not want to see a repeat of what happened in the 12 to 15 months leading up to January of 2021. I don't want to see that in this country. And I worry we're on a path to far worse than that until we have accountability 360 degrees for the mistakes that were made in that lead up. And the Hunter Biden laptop story and its suppression, Shauna, I do believe was a key part of the lead up to that. I think the suppression of the origin of COVID and the origin of the pandemic was a key part of the lead up to what happened in January of 2021.
Would it be nice to live in a
I
world
think
where
the
just
systematic
people dealt with
suppression
this
of speech in this country,
honestly,
even about debating the lockdowns, was a key part of what culminated in January 6, 2021. And as somebody who's looking to lead this country and hopefully, dare I say, reunite this country, I think it is critical, it is vital to the future of this country that we not repeat those same mistakes. And yet that's exactly what I'm seeing play out in slow motion, hiding in plain sight. And so it's my concern for this country that leads me to run for U.S. president. It's my concern for this country that causes me to raise what aren't some ancient issues to be swept under the rug. I think that history is relevant to what's happening today.
Facts. So again, you know, there's a lot of things he's saying there that are uncomfortable truths for the media, right? And because it's uncomfortable, they have nothing to say about it. But another uncomfortable truth that Vivek is putting out there that I think conservatives should actually really pay attention to is what is happening in the GOP primary currently, because we laugh, okay, and make fun of Chris Christie for dropping out of the GOP primary. However, it's not really a laughing matter when you understand what's actually going on, right? The GOP primary, just like the Democrat primary in 2020, is being rigged in a way to try to help the establishment beat Trump. Now, I alluded to this yesterday at the end of the video, but I really want to kind of dedicate a lot more time to it because I watched this happen during the Democrat primary, and history is repeating itself, and it really shows you how they subtly tried to affect the outcome of the primaries and in the elections. And again, that's what's happened with Chris Christie dropping out, right? So as you guys know, Chris Christie dropped out before New Hampshire. Now, Chris Christie, his whole campaign has been about New Hampshire, New Hampshire, New Hampshire, New Hampshire. He hasn't campaigned anywhere except New Hampshire. He wasn't even campaigning in Iowa. Iowa is the first state to have a primary election, okay? And he was like, nah, I got the best chance of winning in New Hampshire, so therefore, that's what I'm going to focus on. Now, he kept saying that, look, nobody's voted yet, okay? And because nobody's voted yet, we really don't know if the polls are accurate. We have no clue who is going to be able to beat Trump and who's not going to be able to beat Trump. Now, the polls indicate that Chris Christie, who in some polls, again, is in third place, he's third place behind Nikki Haley in New Hampshire. But Nikki Haley is within striking distance of beating Trump in New Hampshire, okay? So Chris Christie basically was dead set on staying in the race until the establishment basically forced him out of the race because it became clear based off the polls that if Chris Christie drops out, that gives Nikki Haley the best chance of beating Trump. And lo and behold, that's what Chris Christie did. And there is an audio tape that came out of Chris Christie admitting that, hey, Nikki Haley doesn't have a chance. So if he thinks that Nikki Haley doesn't have a chance, then why did you drop out? Clearly, he dropped out because he was compelled to drop out by the powers that be, not because he wanted to drop out. He wanted to actually stay in the race, but he was forced out of the race. Well, why was he forced out of the race? It's because, again, the powers that be are trying to rig the GOP primaries so that Nikki Haley has a better chance of beating Trump. They're trying to rig it against Trump. Because otherwise, again, Chris Christie is indicating that, yeah, if it was up to me, I would have stayed in. Because Nikki Haley doesn't have a chance to beat him, regardless of whether or not I drop out. And he kept saying, well, nobody's voted yet, so we don't even know if the polls are accurate. You would think that the guy would stay in, right, until at least the New Hampshire election. But he didn't. He was forced to drop out because they want to give Nikki Haley the best chance of beating Trump, okay? So the guy clearly didn't have a choice, okay? Again, it's amazing how that works. I want you guys to understand, this is essentially the same thing that happened in the Democrats' 2020 primary, where going into Super Tuesday, Bernie Sanders had a lot of momentum that suggested that he could have won the Democrats' primary. As you can see here, ignore the Democrats' completely undemocratic super delegate system thing that they have, right?
Right.
Look at Bernie Sanders. Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada. Bernie Sanders had won the popular vote in the first 3 elections, okay? The first 3 elections before Super Tuesday, Pete Buttigieg had performed pretty well in Iowa. He basically came in second place in Iowa. So going into Super Tuesday, you would think that Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg had all the momentum. Joe Biden wasn't really winning much in these elections. He wasn't doing terribly, but he wasn't doing great. The first state that he won before Super Tuesday was South Carolina. But lo and behold, the day before Super Tuesday, literally March 2nd, Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar dropped out of the Democrat primary and endorsed Joe Biden. The day before the most important election day in the Democrat primary, Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg, people who were taking away votes from Joe Biden, dropped out and endorsed Joe Biden. Why? Because they were forced to by the establishment, despite the fact that Pete Buttigieg was competitive. He was more competitive than Joe Biden at that point, right? But he dropped out and endorsed Joe Biden. Now, who else stayed in the race? Elizabeth Warren stayed in the race. Elizabeth Warren stayed in the race. Elizabeth Warren is a progressive. She takes away votes from Bernie Sanders. Now, Elizabeth Warren wasn't performing as well as Bernie. She wasn't performing as well as Pete Buttigieg. Maybe about the same as Amy Klobuchar, and she didn't drop out. Well, why did she drop out? It's because her job was to split the votes with Bernie so that Bernie wouldn't win.
Mind control victims.
So, and now you have a situation that going into Super Tuesday, Biden's not competing for votes with Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar anymore because he got all their votes.
Right.
But you still have Elizabeth Warren in the race.
Oh, but she's okay.
Who's
You can
splitting
vote for her.
votes with Bernie Sanders, and she refused to drop out despite massive pressure from progressives to drop out because she's taking away votes from Bernie and making it less likely that Bernie can beat Joe Biden. Lo and behold, on Super Tuesday, Joe Biden essentially ends up winning a slate of states that he probably would have lost had Elizabeth Warren dropped out or if Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar stayed in the race. Now, I remember this happening at the time, and I remember telling myself, this is so obviously coordinated.
Right.
This is such an obvious ploy from the establishment to affect the outcome of the primary. And we're seeing it happen again in the GOP primary, and people aren't screaming about it enough. People aren't talking about it enough. Again, we laugh at Chris Christie. It's funny.
It's the same thing they did against Ron Paul. I mean, they had this whole, to get their establishment candidate and then have this whole slew of people running. I mean, like the whole stage full of people running, right? And they would have a couple people that were there, like Christie or others, that were just there to be hard asses. And then they would eventually gather up the, so they would gather up as many votes as they could, right, from their respective groups. And then they would just slowly start bowing out after they got front runner status for a minute. They bow out and then just toss it over to the establishment pick, which back then was McCain and then Romney. So, I would just watch. I would watch. It was predictable. Like I would just watch it go down the line, almost to a point where I could tell you who was going to be the next one to be propped up, and then when they would fall out. But they did it every time, right around Iowa and all that. They would consolidate their votes and keep the Ron Paul revolution down.
Funny to make fun of him. He shouldn't have ran in the first place. But him being forced to drop out is the establishment's attempt to try to take down Trump. That's what they're doing, right? And again, when you go back and you look at the history of the Democrat primary in 2020, it makes so much sense why Democrats are going out of their way to try to make sure that Joe Biden doesn't have competition in the primary, right? They're not letting Joe Biden's opponents on ballots because Joe Biden can lose straight up. Joe Biden can lose. So again, it's amazing. You're seeing history repeat itself, except they're doing the same thing in the Republican primary. And the only person that's really calling out and speaking up about what clearly and obviously is the establishment's attempt to try to rig the game against Trump is Vivek. Nobody else is talking about it, even though They do this every primary season,
Right.
where
Mhm.
they essentially pull candidates based off who they want to win, and they try to sway things in their favor. Bernie should have won the 2020 Democrat primary. If there was no interference from the establishment, making Pete Buttigieg pull out and Amy Klobuchar put out and making Elizabeth Warren stay in, Bernie would have won. Bernie would have been the Democrat nominee.
Well, until the super delegates get involved.
So
Then
again,
he
what
wouldn't
you're
have.
seeing happening here is how the establishment affects the outcome of elections. And we aren't talking enough about it. And it's right there in your face. This is what they're doing. Chris Christie didn't want to drop out. He was forced to drop out because, again, they're trying to do whatever they can to make sure that Trump doesn't win. Now, will it work? Probably not. But don't be surprised if Ron DeSantis in Iowa, because he's basically banking on Iowa, right? If he does not perform strongly in Iowa, if he doesn't win Iowa or come in second place, let's say he comes in third place, okay, or worse, which could happen. Nikki Haley could beat him in Iowa. Who knows? Maybe Vivek will surprise in Iowa. Who knows, right? But if Ron DeSantis comes in third place or worse, I think it becomes extremely likely that he drops out before New Hampshire. Well, why is that? It's because if he drops out before New Hampshire, then again, that would give Nikki Haley a better chance of beating Trump. They want it to be a Nikki Haley versus Trump matchup. And the more people in the race, the harder that it becomes to actually beat Trump. So don't be surprised if you see the same thing that happened in the Democrat primary in 2020 happen in the Republican primary in 2024. It's already happening. You're already seeing it with Chris Christie. It makes zero sense for Chris Christie to drop out the race right now, right before the New Hampshire primary, unless he was forced to drop out in order to give Nikki Haley a better chance. And if that is the case, then people should be concerned about that, right? Yes, it's cool to laugh at Chris Christie, but I'm serious. This type of election interference is anti-democratic. And this is why I think that the two-party system is the most undemocratic institution that we have in this country. They have a monopoly on our politics, and it has to change. The people are never going to have a real say if we do not do something about this two-party system that has corrupted our politics and has made it impossible for people to have a real choice outside of what the establishment puts in front of you.
Damn right.
But again, people have to wake up and see it happening, right? In order for people to realize that this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's the point of this video. Vivek is the only person that's really pointing out something that continuously happens in these primaries that people don't really pay attention to. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
All right, dude. Dan, he's got it. He's on top of that. I couldn't have said that any better than that. And thank God he is saying it with his reach and his audience. You know, they're listening to him. That's making the difference right there. That is making the difference. Let's see. And that. All right. So yeah, man, that he was just nailing it, dude. He really sees it for what it is, you know, especially he's a lot younger. So he hadn't been around that long, but he's got it dialed in. And I remember back in the Ron Paul days, the idea was that we wanted to get rid of the two-party system. You know, we wanted to have more parties involved. In fact, even during that time, they actually had, I don't know if anybody remembers this or not, but they actually had a third-party debate. Yeah, they would have debates between the third parties, and it would be like libertarian, and there was a constitutional party, there's a green party, there was some other party in there too. All of them kind of faded away, you know, but that, you know, we were actually getting close to actually having more parties involved. Now it's just more corruption to keep a tab on, more places to be bought out and used strategically. You know, that's the thing about corruption, right? It's like nothing gets done until the corruption gets solved, because in every turn, it's just going to corrupt whatever you're trying to build to get around it, right? That's why only root cause solutions work. right? You can't bandage something. You can't do workarounds because the workarounds open up the loopholes for more corruption. So you basically just work around it. You work around the corruption finds a way to work itself into it. That's why it doesn't work out. Now this is a great video. This is The View, Whoopi Goldberg. We just watched the town hall last night, so I thought this would be a good one to kind of review as well. Tatum takes us through the View's Whoopi Goldberg panics over Trump's town hall and Biden's failure in the polls. I love it when The View panics.
There's a reason Joe Biden ran the way he did. There's a reason he's running for democracy now, because that's really what's at stake. You worried that you can't pay your bill? Wait till the other guy becomes president, and you won't have to worry about it because you'll be in some camp somewhere.
There you go. That's it. So you don't have to worry about because you're going to be in a camp somewhere. This woman peddling fear. Fear peddler, race baiter. Here we go.
This video is brought to you by Tatum Plus, brought to you by Tatum Plus, a new platform. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an incredible way to support yours truly and our channel. We always want to be.
Take a look at his setup here real quick. He's got this display going on here. He's got the subscribe at the bottom to the website. He has the price, and then he has all the different shows that you get. That's a good setup right there. He's got his new logo. That's cool.
Ahead of the game and making sure that if anything happened on these social media platforms, you still have a place where you can go and see content, and that costs money. So that's why we have a subscription base to help pay for everybody that's on the team, for them to cut unique content, for us to travel and do things that elevate our content and do more for you, right? We're going to always do the free content. We're going to always have it available on YouTube, but we want to do additional things. And for those people who want to go a little deeper into the experience with the Officer Tatum, you can do it on our subscription base. So go ahead and subscribe today. Link is in the description section. And we also have free shirts, $5 shirts, $5 hoodies on the Tatum store. Just
yeah, exactly, T-Rex.
Button at the very top of the store and get you some merch today. Like and subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this.
I can't imagine ever getting to that point.
Donald Trump that
would be something else.
Get some good-hearted people that can work for him and do well this time. Because I don't know what happened last time, but it seems as if people were not supportive enough to help his agenda move forward. I mean, there had to be people that were, but by and large, it seems as if people were turning on him. There was a lot of turnover, and all of those things are very difficult and not as conducive to do the best you can as the president. Donald Trump has a couple more clips on here. Let me play clip 5.
How will you gather the several millions that have already entered our country illegally and return them to their country of origin?
Great question. It's not sustainable for our country. We have millions and millions of people here. It is not sustainable. Did you see in New York City where they're getting the regular students out and they're putting migrants in their place? We are going to have the largest.
How in the world are they getting away with doing that? Where they're actually kicking kids out of school and putting immigrants into the schools, I guess, just to be housed there. Also, often said too, schools are like really easily converted to prisons. You can convert a school to a prison really fast. That, and you can convert a stadium. I wonder when they're going to start claiming the stadiums, like maybe after football seasons. Oh, entire stadium, you could just seal that thing up, man. Have everything working with inside there. Have, if it's a dome, you could have the beds, and you could have bunk, whatever out in the middle, or you could have what eating areas or whatever in the middle. Get 100 yards plus to work with right there, a big field, and then you have stadium seating everywhere. And then you have tunnels that are like you can man tunnels with guards, and you have the locked gates and all kinds of security to get in and out. Stadiums and schools, those are two places that are easily converted into detention centers, right? Real easy to do that.
Deportation effort in the history of our country. We're bringing everybody back to where they came from. We have no choice. We have no choice.
So clearly he didn't answer the question. I really wish, let me say this. I know that people love Trump and I like Trump as well, but we do give him a pass sometimes when I think that we probably shouldn't. He didn't answer any part of that woman's question. She said, how are you going to? She didn't say, do you want to? She said, how are you going to? I'm going to put together a deportation effort like the world has never seen. I'm paraphrasing. That's not a solution. That's not how you going to do that. And I think he and other.
For what it's worth, I'll respond to that. For what it's worth, I don't know that he can give away all the details. Like I honestly, the fact that he's going to do something, I think is a good enough answer there. That people say he didn't answer the question. Well, I don't know that he could. Like, there is a war going on right now. There are good guys and bad guys in this war, and they they'll use anything they can get. He says one thing and they start sabotaging it right now. So I understand his hesitancy to ever disclose any type of strategy. Yes, never reveal your strategy. Exactly. I think that's probably the smart move. I think he did it in a way that assures the woman and everybody else he's going to do something, but he can't give out the details.
Others kind of owe it to us to think through this and say, well, what exactly are you going to do? I think there's a method to it. I think you can articulate that with a victory like mine, we'll gain seats in the House and gain seats in the Senate. And, I'm going to have conversation with Republicans and Democrats alike to propose a solution to undocumented people coming into this country and finding a solution to people who are not documented, who want to be here and they come there the right way. How do we fix that? That the conversation will be had, and you can say anything that sounds better than that. I mean, I think it's a good proposal to say we're going to fix the system, because there are people that want to come here, which there are people that we would love to have here. But how about we fix the system? Therefore, we can make the system more efficient, meaning that people don't have to sneak in here because we have an effective system that we can allow certain people in here through a vetting process in a quicker and more effective way. That's not bad to say. I'm going to get with Congress. And we all know that when a Republican president wins, I think we're going to gain some seats in the House and Senate, and we'll have control over Congress, and we'll begin to move forward and putting together a plan to deal with the people who are here, to deal with the people who want to come here, and secure us from people we don't want here. And somehow, I just came up with this on the spot. I ain't been thinking about this.
But
I'm not a politician.
really,
I'm not on a campaign trail. I'm not at a town hall
really
debate.
Either.
You think this through and write it down so you can give us an actual answer. Instead of just saying, I'm going to have the biggest deportation. Man, the Democrats ain't going to do nothing with you when you get in office. Roll clip 7.
So can you say tonight that political violence is never acceptable?
Well, of course that's right. And of course, I'm the one that had very little of it. Take a look at wars. Again, I didn't start. I wasn't involved in wars. We beat the hell out of ISIS. We won 100%. We brought our troops back home. Look at the violence that we've had. Look at the violence we have recently.
Right, but when you say bedlam, what do you mean?
I think you have bedlam. I think you look at Joe Biden, it's bedlam. You have a man who can't lead. You have a man who can't find his way off a stage after he makes a speech that lasts for about 2 minutes. No, I think bedlam is Joe Biden. I think that he's using this. This is just a political ploy. Trump is a dictator. He wants to be a dictator. It's interesting. I did a show, Sean Hannity. Did you ever hear of him? He's a very nice man. And he said essentially, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? Tell me. I think he was trying to give me a nicer question that maybe you guys would. He meant it very well. I said, I'm going to be a dictator for one day. We're going to do 2 things. The border, we're going to make it so tight you can't get in unless you come in legally. And the other is energy. We're going to drill, baby, drill. After that, I'm not going to be a dictator. After that, I'm not going to be a dictator. So
you weren't saying
no,
that
and the press picks it up. So I said, I'm going to be a dictator for one day. They cut it. They go, I'm going to be a dictator. But they cut the rest of the sentence. No, I am not going to be a dictator. I'm going to manage like we did. We were so successful that the country was coming together. It was actually coming together and coming together well. It was a beautiful thing to see. And we're going to do that again.
Interesting, right? You see, I need to save that clip, because the cackling hens on The View swear before our Lord and Savior that Donald Trump is going to be a dictator. That's what I think one of the dummies on there said it the other day. Donald Trump is going to be a dictator.
What's interesting for me is that people's faith in the country is waning. That's the thing that's pissing me off, because in fact, There's a reason Joe Biden ran the way he did. There's a reason he's running for democracy now, because that's really what's at stake. You worried that you can't pay your bill? Wait till the other guy becomes
Hey,
president.
Gutters, how you
and
doing?
You won't have to worry about it because you'll be in some camp somewhere, because that's his promise. His promise to us is he's going to force people to do his bidding. That's what he said. I'm going to be good on day one, and I'm going to turn into this other person. So here's the deal. This is all up to you.
Look at the way she
This
just
is all up to you. We
lies
sit
to
up here till
everybody.
we're
Lies to
green in the
herself, lies to
face.
everybody else.
But this really comes down to the people. What is the country you want? Do you want the country that you kind of thought you had, where we all get to say
Yeah, we
what
want
we
it back
think,
from people
and
like you.
we don't have to be afraid of being American? And believing that, yeah, there will be people who come in, and some will get in quick, and some will take a different route, but they're coming here for a reason, because they're living in a place that's not good for their families. If you're okay with that, you understand that, then fight for us to find a better way to make immigration work. Fight for that. Don't fight
No,
for
we're not
keeping
fighting for cloud
everybody out,
living
because then
strategy.
we all have to leave.
I said a long time ago, it's impossible for a president to be a dictator.
Which I will be covering next week.
Maybe somebody can find a way to explain that to me, because Congress I think they have a lot more power than the president, because they are elected officials to represent the people. That's to me, that's more power than the president has. He can sign executive orders. He can't sign anything in the law. In the Supreme Court, even the way the Supreme Court is established, I mean, if things are going to change, it's going to have to change through legislation. It's not going to be changing through executive power. And I don't get how a president can be a dictator. You know, unless you think people are that stupid. You think somebody becomes a dictator and Congress goes along with it, and the Supreme Court goes along with it, and the FBI people who are working in the FBI goes along with it, and the people in the DOJ and all these people just go along with a newfound dictatorship in America. You can't replace the entire FBI. You can replace the FBI director, but the people of the FBI is not going to stand for a dictator. That's like, what are we even saying? Hold the phone.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do. They go out there and they scare people into believing that crap. All right. Yeah, I mean that's what they're out there doing, and to their audience is just lying to them, hysteria. That's 2024. You're going to see plenty of that. Plenty of that. All right. You think? You think so? Maybe. Well, with the more the who stuff coming out, the that hopefully will clean out a lot of the compromised people in our great government. Let's see, there was something else too. And I think we might do an update here. Let me check this out real quick. Hold on a second. I gotta show this. Hold on. This is short from Benny, but I had to show this because it's on theme tonight. And the funny part about it is, as I knew a guy, I have a friend from college. His name was Shaka, and he reminds me. We used to call him Sammy. His nickname was Sammy. But he reminds me of Vivek, right? He was Indian guy, and he reminds me of Vivek. And so, evidently, this guy that does the impersonation of Vivek. This is just a little bit of a sidetrack here, but dude looks just like him. I just happened to see this, so let's check this out real quick.
Vivek Ramaswamy comes face to face with.
We gotta do one more time. Yeah, he has it.
Vivek.
What's going on?
Vivek, it's Vivek Ramaswamy. Good
Yeah,
to meet you. I got to tell you something. I'm Vivek, by the way. Vivek, nice to meet you. So nice to meet you. Listen, it's a very important day, January 15th.
It is. It's
Okay.
So
it's
so
the most important time in this country.
It is.
It's the 75th annual Emmy Awards.
Oh, is that right?
We need a vote for Quinta Brunson. We're going to replace the Department of Education with Abbott Elementary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going to be
You're
huge.
operating on a different plane.
Yeah, God bless America and God bless
How did
Hollywood.
you become so brilliant?
Listen, I just think that,
Where'd
you
you
know,
get
when I was
starts?
young, Harvard, Yale,
Yeah.
multi-billion-dollar companies.
Got it.
Yeah,
But
and a
Golden-
leader of a
and
different
what did you like
generation.
the Golden Globes?
I loved it.
You did.
I thought it was great.
That's good.
I thought it was
Well,
great.
thank
Listen,
you for being here.
of course, thank you for doing this impersonation.
That man's an imposter. That man is the imposter.
That's funny, man. I look just like him, except for a lot taller. All right, man. YouTube is running so slow tonight. So, now I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not. We'll have to see. This may be a swerve. Did Trump just announce his vice president pick? Let's find out. Hopefully, if YouTube will let me. There we go. Okay. All right. Do you really think he's gonna? I'm already getting the impression he's gonna say it's Tucker Carlson. Do you think this could really happen? I don't know. It's hilarious. Nice intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump talking about Ron DeSantis. Obviously, this has been a sore issue for Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis probably got it the worse than Nikki Haley last night from Donald Trump, talking about his fancy shoes.
Real quick, I did back up Barnes when he said that there was already an agreement between Trump and DeSantis to run together. I backed him up as long as I could, but I think that he was mistaken. I have to say that now.
But then also noting that Ron DeSantis will probably drop out after Iowa. That's what we've been hearing, and endorse Donald Trump. That's what we've been hearing. That Ron DeSantis, after Iowa, which the Iowa caucuses are on Monday, that Ron DeSantis will drop out and then endorse Trump.
Okay, so there we got two different versions here going on. Vivek's version is he's going to join Nikki Haley. Benny is saying he's hearing that he's going to endorse Trump. So let's hear what they have to say here.
And we'll try and rebuild the bridge. Now, will that work for you? Will that work for the Republican base? Knowing what we know about Donald Trump would be like, all is forgiven, right? We'll see. We'll see. He's going to need a united front to go against the demonic machine that is quite clearly attempting to fortify once again their election right now. The reason why Joe Biden is getting screamed at in the White House by Barack Obama. But we'll see. Here's Trump on fancy shoes DeSantis last night.
He's going to be out of the race very soon. He's going to be out very soon. You know, I watched him last night. He's standing up with his shoes, his fancy shoes.
Fancy shoes.
And he's going to be out of the race within, a lot of people say before New Hampshire.
Before New Hampshire. What does that mean? Iowa. So the word on the street is that DeSantis does drop out. Spent a whole lot of money, as Chris Christie said on the hot mic, and that DeSantis drops out before Iowa. And then what happens next? Well, what happens next is Donald Trump begins to build out a cabinet, because then effectively there is no more competition against Donald Trump. You can see in the recent polls, no one's even able to crack like 10% against Trump. So once you lose the people that can even crack into the double digits, which Nikki Haley's been in double digits, depending on the poll, Ron DeSantis has been in double digits, depending on the poll. Once you get rid of those, the race is effectively done. You know that I like Vivek. Like we've had a fun working relationship with Vivek, right? But the race is done. Okay. So here it is. And you can see here, Donald Trump, obviously very steadily and in a very healthy manner gaining. This is total national polls. And you can see Haley and DeSantis muddling around the 10% mark. Nobody is able to crack 10% against Trump. Trump at 60%, right? And so the only hope is DeSantis either in Iowa. DeSantis has done a bunch of work in Iowa. But if he doesn't win in Iowa, he's got the endorsement of the governor and everything. Doesn't win in Iowa, it's finished, right? Nikki Haley in New Hampshire, that's the next great hope. Nikki Haley doesn't do well in New Hampshire, as Chris Christie's on the hot mic saying, right, in New Hampshire. Boom. Then it's done. Then it becomes about it becomes Trump's party. It already is, but it becomes like the Trump administration marching forward. And this is the biggest news out of last night. The biggest news out of last night, Ron DeSantis has been asked if he would take the VP spot, and Ron DeSantis said flatly no for Ron DeSantis administration. As a Florida resident, hey Ron, you got a state to run down here. Would love to have you back. You know what I mean? Like, this is where my kids are being raised. Would very much like to have your attention. You are a very good governor. Would like to have your attention back down here. Thank you. Like, speaking on behalf of a father of three who moved down here because of your policies, I'm proud to say Ron DeSantis is inarguably either the most effective or one of the top 3 most effective Republican governors in my lifetime, right? So if you're a Florida resident, if you want to move to Florida, you can see the results down here. Like, please come back and focus on the state. That's very important. Ron DeSantis won't be VP. Nikki Haley, will she be VP? Well, let me tell you what. Donald Trump made huge news last night. I think probably the most newsworthy moment of the night when Donald Trump said, the VP selection has already been made. It's done.
Oh,
it's finished. Huh? Whoa. I mean, again, normally this is something that happens like in the summer. Like the VP, like who will become vice
I'm glad
president?
he's
Like
doing
that's
this
something that
early.
heats up after
He needs
like
to do it early.
you've locked up and clinched the process. But I bet you could see a VP announcement like in February for Donald Trump then. Like once everyone drops out. So who's it going to be? Check out this clip and I'll tell you what we know, what we found out in a series of late night phone calls last night. Watch.
Uh-oh.
Who would be in the running for vice president?
Well, I can't tell you that really. I mean, I know who it's going to be.
Give us a hint.
We'll do another show sometime.
Well, what about any of the people who you've run against? Would you be open to mending fences with any of them?
I will. I've already started to like Christie better.
Christie for vice president?
I don't see it. That would be an upset. Christie for vice president. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce.
I do want to get to this other question before.
Do you hear the audience go, boo, no, Chris Christie? I have a soft spot in my heart for Chris Christie. He's funny. He's a funny person. I've done some interviews with Chris Christie, not this election cycle. He's a funny person. And he, he's like rabidly anti-Trump, and that's because of personal animus. He thought he was going to get a big time fat position in Trump's administration. They were so mean to him too when he dropped out. Breitbart went with the GOP field is thinning because Chris Christie dropped out. Oh man, okay. The Babylon Bee said that Chris Christie is dropping out to spend more time with his family-sized bucket of chicken or something like that. Like, oh come on, guys, come on. But you can see Donald Trump. I already like Chris Christie better for VP. Here's the part that is a tell. Okay. So here's the tell. I just want you to watch. I never replay clips on the show, but I do want you to watch. The first 10 seconds of this interaction, because I believe this shows you who Donald Trump has already picked. We're going to replay this clip. This will tell you everything. Look at how Donald Trump interacts with the Fox News hosts.
Who would be in the running for vice president?
Well, I can't tell you that really. I mean, I know who it's going to be.
Give us a hint.
We'll do another show sometime.
Well, what about any of the people who you've run against? Would you be?
We'll do another show sometime. Ooh. Oh, you're going to like this. You're going to like this. Donald Trump says. to Fox News. What does that tell you? We'll do a show sometime about it. What does that tell you? Well, who just had a show on Fox News canceled? Who is someone who's been reported in the corporate press as Melania's favorite news show that she's watched and her favorite anchor? Who's been reported in the press is the person that Melania is actively asking Donald Trump to name as vice president. Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson. Now, is that the best pick? Well, hot damn. Last night, people thought it really was the best pick. And as we've gone through and made a number of phone calls late into the evening, I was up till like 2 o'clock in the morning, just chit-chatting with some people. It's become quite clear to me that that's where the energy is. It's come quite clear to me that it's just a feeling. I would be lying to you if I told you that somebody told me, yes, it is Tucker Carlson. That's the pick. But I'd also be lying to you if I told you that that is not like absolutely in contention. And like quite literally like the thing that is being like worked on behind the scenes the most. That's what I found out last night. Very, very interesting stuff. Now, Donald Trump's been dropping these breadcrumbs for a long time. Donald Trump was asked directly, are you going to pick Tucker Carlson? Check it out.
Would you consider Tucker Carlson on your VP list?
Oh,
I want to
wow.
give you a hypothetical here. You're a big sports fan. You know, like Nick Saban's going to retire at some point. And if you talk to the athletic director at Alabama, he would say he has a list. So would Tucker Carlson be on your list of potential VPs? And how many names might be on that list as you sit and look and survey the political field?
Well, first of all, you know, I did my first, you could call it counter programming, but I won't call it that. But Tucker wanted to do an interview during the first debate. And I think you know, because this is what your business is, we broke every record
monster audience
in history. Yeah. I think it just hit over 300 million people. Talk about it.
Would you consider Tucker, though, that they based on those
I
numbers?
like Tucker a lot. I guess I would. I think I'd say I would, because he's got great common sense. You know, when they say that you guys are conservative or I'm conservative, it's not that we're conservative. We have common sense.
So you have two guys, Tucker and Trump, that are in the public eye all the time.
It would be. Could he
that
be
are going
a vice
around
president though?
Saying the same
I
thing
guess
about
he
each
was
other.
press secretary. That'd be awesome.
Tucker Carlson asked if he would be Donald Trump's VP. Check this out.
Where am I on Trump now? Well, I love Trump. Personally, I think we're going to see Trump's emergence as the most significant thing to happen in American politics in 100 years, because he reoriented the Republican Party against the wishes of Republican leaders. But when I think about Trump right now, so it's July of 2023, you know, I'm struck by his foreign policy views. You know, Trump is the only person with stature in the Republican Party, really, who's saying, wait a second, you know, why are we supporting an endless war in Ukraine? And that, you know, leaving aside whether Trump's going to get the nomination or get elected president or would be a good president, you know, I can't even assess that. All I can say at this point is I'm so grateful that he has that position. He's right. And everyone in Washington's wrong. Everyone. And Trump is right on that question.
Come on, what a thing to say. Donald Trump is right and everyone in Washington is wrong. Well, doesn't that sound like someone who's interested in being vice president? I can tell you this, that during interviews with Tucker that we've done live, and during a wonderful dinner that we had with Tucker over the break, myself, my family, actually just my son, that we were able to have a very long dinner with Tucker, and it's really neat to talk shop about a bunch of stuff. Like his views hasn't changed on that, right? Like not to betray any private conversation, but like what he says, he's an authentic man. What he says in public is what he says in private, is who he is in public is who he is in private. It was like sitting through like a 3-hour-long private dinner, like Tucker Carlson Tonight Show. It's like amazing. It's the same. It's so refreshing when like the people are the same, where they're the same people, right? In front of the scenes and behind the scenes. It's awesome. It's awesome. So what I'm telling you, and I would tell you, if somebody has definitively told me it's Tucker, what I'm telling you is I'm getting a feeling. We're noticers. We're big time noticers on this program. Like, that's our superpower. We're alive. We pay attention. So here's Tucker Carlson being asked about this directly by Roseanne. Check out the answer.
What do you
I
think?
certainly
Roseanne.
support Trump. I'll tell you that. And I can tell you, I mean, I've always agreed with Trump's policies, always. And I lost friends over it. And I've never really actively supported anybody because it's not my job to actively support people. I
Right.
watch, I
Right.
like to watch. But I'm a voyeur.
Yeah.
But I became an active Trump supporter when they raided Mar-a-Lago last summer, the summer of 2022. That can't stand.
No, that can't.
And
That
I
was something.
agree with Trump on a lot. But even if I disagreed with Trump on a lot, I'd still be a Trump supporter because you cannot allow that. You cannot allow the regime, the president of the United States, to use the Justice Department to knock the front runner out of the race. You can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
So it's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than Biden. It's a question of, do you want to live in a free country with a functioning justice system?
That's exactly
And
right.
so I'm voting for Trump. And if they convict him, I will send him the max donations and I will lead protests. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel.
Because, and by the way, if I thought that he had committed some real crime, I wouldn't feel that way, but he didn't.
Mhm.
He and Biden are both found with classified documents at home, along with every other former high-level federal official in history. But only Trump is indicted. Like, tell me how that works. Oh, shut up.
Everyone in okay, so let's stack the evidence here. Everyone in DC is wrong, and Donald Trump is right. Everyone in DC is wrong, and Donald Trump is right, Tucker says. And then Tucker goes on to say, I'll lead protests for Donald Trump. Well, I mean, is this your ticket?
Really?
Look at it. Let's make this big. Come on. I mean, like, are you ready for this, America? Let me know in the comment section. Like, fire off in the comment section. Trump, Tucker, that's got to be the bumper sticker. Trump, Tucker, 2024. Are you prepared for this?
Yeah.
I would tell you if I had definitive knowledge. I would tell you if the people that I'm speaking with say anything other than the audio that I can play for you here that they've said in public and on podcasts. I know this about Tucker. He doesn't desire or demand. He doesn't desire power. He's lived in Washington, D.C. for a long time. Could have absolutely done a campaign for himself years ago. Could have created a situation where he could run for office. And he's famous enough and he's powerful enough to have done that. He didn't. And so it wouldn't be about that. But honestly, quite frankly, oftentimes and almost always, the best leaders are the reluctant leaders. They can see things clearly. They can connect with people in a way that those who are just craven for power and desirous of power, jealous for power, and searching and seething for power, that you sense that on a spiritual level, right? Tucker, on the other hand, is just a man of the people. This is Tucker Carlson walking into the UFC event in Madison Square Garden. Just a reminder that this was inside of the bluest area in America, arguably the most Democrat area in America. You have Tucker Carlson howling with laughter behind Donald Trump to the roaring cheers of 35,000 people in an arena. How kick-ass is this? Kid Rock's obviously there. Don Jr.'s there. You can see Dana White there too. But this is what transcends politics. What would happen if Joe Biden tried to walk into a place like that? What would happen then? It wouldn't, obviously wouldn't go the same way. We had Tucker Carlson live on a X space, right? Which is kind of like the ability. It's if you're not familiar with the X platform, it's just being able to ask people questions on what's more like a radio interview, right? There's no video component involved, but it's a really neat way to listen to conversations live. And so I asked him directly, Melania wants you as VP. Here's his answer. Here we go. Tucker, I'm sitting here looking at an article right now from Axios. And this article says that Melania Trump wants you to be the vice presidential candidate for Donald Trump with Donald Trump in 2024. What do you say to Melania Trump?
Well, she hasn't texted me that, and it's in, a publication published in Washington. So I'm gonna kind of reserve judgment on that. Obviously, I'm flattered if it's true. I like Melania. I don't really know her.
but she's Eastern European, so that suggests we have exactly the same attitudes about everything. So I'm flattered.
Have you ever heard him say no? Have you heard him say no? I mean, I haven't heard him say no. Tucker Carlson suggested someone else for VP before. We're going to give you as clear of a picture as we can here. I'm talking about a feeling. I'm talking about like our job is to absorb energy. Tucker Carlson said maybe Vivek would make a great VP. And I would tend to agree, actually. Here.
I mean, I kind of like Vivek. I think he's one of those people who everyone beats up on Vivek for being, he's a phony and all this stuff. I don't know. I've covered a lot of campaigns going back to 1992, and I've noticed this thing in many candidates, and I notice it in him. The process of running for president and speaking 3 times a day and having people throw hostile questions in your face causes you to change. They all change during these campaigns, like for real, inside. And I feel like Vivek's positions have gotten much more sincere since the beginning of this. Like I watch him with Nikki Haley, and I'm like, this is a guy who's very offended by her views, like for real. He's not attacking her because she's a woman. He's attacking her because he actually thinks her views are terrible for the country he lives in. And I love that.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think? Tucker Carlson has said Donald Trump is the only right person in Washington and everyone else is wrong. He said he'd lead protests for Donald Trump. Tucker Carlson and Trump are obviously very, very close. You can see here them at a golf championship at one of Donald Trump's clubs chanting, "Let's go Brandon" together. Again, howling with laughter. Here you go. Let's go Brandon! Let's go Brandon! Let's go Brandon! Let's go Brandon! You've never seen that clip on CNN or Fox News,
right?
But you'll see it on this program because that's the energy, man. That's the energy. And Tucker and Trump laughing, Tucker and Trump like together and bringing people together. I don't know. Throw up that photo of them laughing or them at the event. It's great. I mean, I think it's great. They obviously have a wonderful working relationship. And as we posited last night at the end of the show, when we brought on our all-star panel, Tucker Carlson could do his show from the vice president's office. He just do his show as VP. He could do a nightly show there from one observatory circle in Washington, D.C., the Naval Observatory where the vice president lives. You just turn that into a show. I just happen to have the JFK files that I marched over to the CIA and told them to give me here. Here, I'm going to read them to you live. I have the classified UFO files. I mean, how awesome would that be? A boy can dream, right? We don't have to dream, however, to see how neat it would be to have a crossover event with Tucker and Trump. There's been an ad, unofficial, as far as I know, unofficial ad with Tucker Carlson monologuing for Donald Trump in campaign ad form. And I feel like even though this wasn't produced directly by the Trump campaign, it is the most powerful message for Donald Trump. It brought chills to me the first time I saw it. It is one of the most convincing ads, political ads I've ever seen, even though it was put together not by the campaign. Tucker Carlson as a narrator for Trump's message and Trump as the tip of the spear. Please watch the most convincing campaign ad I've ever seen. Go.
Millions of Americans sincerely love Donald Trump. They love him in spite of everything they've heard. They love him often in spite of himself. They love Donald Trump because no one else loves them. The country they built, the country their ancestors fought for over hundreds of years, has left them to die in their unfashionable little towns, mocked and despised by the sneering half-wits with finance degrees, but no actual skills, who seem to run everything all of a sudden. Whatever Donald Trump's faults, he is better than the rest of the people in charge. At least he doesn't hate them for their weakness. Donald Trump, in other words, is and has always been a living indictment of the people who run this country. That was true 4 years ago when Trump came out of nowhere to win the presidency, and it's every bit as true right now. Trump rose because they failed. It's as simple as that. If the people in charge had done a halfway decent job with the country they inherited, if they'd cared about anything other than themselves, even for just a moment, Donald Trump would still be hosting Celebrity Apprentice. But they didn't. Instead, they were incompetent and narcissistic and cruel and relentlessly dishonest. They wrecked what they didn't build. They lied about it. They hurt anyone who told the truth about what they were doing. That's true. We watched. America is still a great country, the best in the world, but our ruling class is disgusting. A vote for Trump is a vote against them. That's what's going on in this country.
There you have it.
It's inspiring. It's inspiring. Can you punch in a little bit on this photo? It's inspiring. And they're clearly
real quick.
Oh my.
Shelly, thank you for the $10 super chat. Hashtag Trump Carlson 2024. Set up for potentially 3 consecutive terms of truth and transparency. Yes, please. Wokeness will gasp its last breath, God willing. Well said. Well said. And thank you so much for that.
They're clearly having a Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson are both energy guys. They're men who absorb energy and who make decisions based on their guts and what's right. And I'm just telling you that this is what I feel. I'm also a man who like notices I'm alive. I pay attention, and I think that this is it. When Donald Trump announces that he's already made his decision and that's already done, he looks at Fox with a smirk and he goes,
"Hey,
we'll do another show on this."
On Rumble.
It's because he knows that Tucker Carlson's name has been banned from Fox News. This is just me reading the tea leaves. I'm alive. I notice things. He knows that Tucker Carlson's name has been banned on Fox. Trump knows this. Fox News hosts aren't allowed to say Tucker Carlson's name because of the very ugly breakup that Fox News created. And this is why Trump was smirking and chuckling to himself last night.
Welcome.
Because he knows that Fox News will effectively have to give Tucker her show back. like Tucker Carlson will go right back on Fox. He'll force it by making Tucker Carlson his vice president. Oh, man. What incredible vindication. What a beautiful story arc that would be, ladies and gentlemen.
That would be interesting.
And that's why Donald Trump says to the Fox News hosts who are like clawing and begging him, like, give us your VP choice. That's why he says, oh, you're going to have to do another show about that. Watch.
Who would be in the running for vice president?
Well, I can't tell you that really. I mean, I know who it's going to be.
Give us a hint.
We'll do another show sometime.
Well, what about any of the people who you've run against? Would you be open to mending fences with any of them?
I will. I've already started like Christie better.
Christie for vice president?
I don't see it. That would be an upset. Christie for vice president. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce. Now,
I do want to get to this other question before.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there it is. Okay. We'll show you exactly why Trump said that. Again, we're alive and we notice. Donald Trump speaking in South Carolina. Donald Trump was talking after the Tucker Carlson interview. And the reason why you can see the tell, even in a poker player like Donald Trump, even you can see the tell, is because Tucker's name is banned on Fox. And when Donald Trump said Tucker Carlson's name, because they'd done a very successful interview, then Fox had to cut away. And Donald Trump thinks this is patently hilarious. If you pick Tucker Carlson as your VP, then Fox has to give him his show back. Come on. Watch.
And we're at just about 60% already, and we're going up, and we're the only ones going up. They're going down. They're going down, down, down. They ought to stop wasting their time. You know, they're wasting a lot of time with these ridiculous debates that nobody's watching. Their last debate was the lowest rated debate in history. That's a good compliment, isn't it? Now, what was I doing, Marjorie? I was someplace else, wasn't I, huh? I was doing another interview. We had 271 million people listening to the Tucker Carlson interview. That's an all-time record.
So here we are, back in the thick of campaign season. We are now just 4 months away from the Iowa primaries, and you see former President Trump in a place where...
Isn't that great? What was I doing? I was on the Tucker Carlson show. Cut the feed. Ah! So good. Oh man, it was awesome. So Trump knows that, and he knows that that's gonna bring great salt to some of the people that tried to stop him, and that's always brought Donald Trump great joy.
All right, thank you so much for that. Well, what do you guys think? Is Tucker? He said the decision's already been made. Is it going to be Tucker? Is it going to be Vivek? Is it going to be somebody we haven't thought of yet? Is Barnes going to be right? Is it going to be DeSantis from a year ago? His insider information? I don't know. You know, things can change. So I'll give him a break. Yeah, so lots going on. In terms of repairing history together and what we're doing here, I mean, it just seems like we've really run the gamut on the repairing history part of this whole journey. I look for things to kind of go through. I was like, well, we covered that. So check the playlist for all the key information about repairing history, like especially the first one, the first playlist. That has like a rundown, straight through, watch through, listen through. Discussion of the Thomas Sowell work. And then of course we did the co-hosting thing for a while, tried to work out some things there, and then we've been doing repairing history together ever since. But I'm thinking that I'm gonna need more time in the future here to do more things, and especially as the election kind of ramps up, to fit in space where I'm not doing, every day, right? Because it becomes a full-time job at that point. I do have a other job, right? I do have other things that I do. But the idea is that I think that I'd like to continue to do the series, but maybe sporadically. I'm thinking like maybe dialing it back to like twice a month, and then kind of filling it in with something else on every other Thursday, or we'll just see how it goes, and then perhaps just switching this out for a new show that it's more election driven, that has more to do with like topical news and things that are happening now. So I'm trying to figure out what direction to go in. I think I really do think that the show itself has, accomplished a lot of its goals. I think that the idea was to put out this strategy of repairing history and of role model leadership, and of how that's going to heal division, and let that stand for what it is. But there's always a chance that, it could turn into another kind of co-host or panel or something like that, where we actually get into discussions of it. However, I think 2024 is going to be more of a, maybe it could be how we can come together politically and to fight this out. That's really what it's about. It's really about just putting all these divisive things aside to focus together on the goal of taking down the establishment, because the establishment's corrupt, and the corruption is what's causing the division. And this all works to solve the root cause issues and take away their pillars of strength, which is one of the key ones being division. Of course, another one being the control of the language, and other pillars of strength that they have. And as we remove the enablement of these systems, right, by coming into awareness of it and then choosing not to partake in it, and also raising the next generation to be resistant to it. That's the thing. That's what it's really all about. See, maybe make repairing history a segment on other shows. Yeah, it could be like good news. Yeah, definitely could be. Could be, but for some of the changes and some of the upgrades I want to make, I'm gonna have to shovel out some some time here during the week in order to do that. And I'm just trying to think, when I try to think of topics to make it fresh. Like what I don't want to do is just take up time, right? I want to make sure that time we have is quality and that it has purpose, right? Because this is purpose driven content right here. It's all about the purpose, and I guess you could say it's also a service in a way, supplying information and insights and a collection of work from a decade and a half or more of actually just digging into these topics. I'm writing a plan to pitch to you. I'll tell you after show. All right, I got a pitch coming. All right. Yeah. So it might not be next week. It might be the week after, or like I said, I'm trying to think about getting another show spun up that's more about 2024, about this whole year, and it could be part of that show. Like it could be hey, how you doing? 357. I'll definitely call you, man. I'll call you. Yeah, like that hang loose, man. I like to use that one for hang loose, and I moused over it, and it's like call me. I'm like, people think I'm calling them. Yeah, I love that hang. I see that as hang loose, not call me. I guess that's the beach kid in me. But yeah, it could end up being like a real good, yeah. It could be that it evolves into something, because I like covering these topics, and I think we're still going to see a lot of the same presenters, right? A lot of the same content reviews. So it's just a matter of whether I evolve it or keep it the same, or replace it. I'm just trying to figure out what to do with it. So probably gonna take next week off to think about it and come up with a plan as far as that goes. But I mean, as far as the intent, we started the series. Let's see how many episodes have we done. Let's see. Oh, of course, everything's going on this playlist. We got let's see. I got a lot of playlists. That's the one thing about Rumble I really want to see. That, like, if they could say pick one thing to put on, what one thing we can do right now is playlist, man. Playlist, better organization, so that we can kind of like run through it easier. Like, kind of like I love having playlists to organize things. That's a big thing. So if they could do that, it'd be awesome. So yeah, there's 6 episodes of Repairing History Together. This is the new one. Repairing History with Gary Lamb. That was 13 episodes. And then let's see, the original Repairing History is 6 episodes. So we had 6, 12, about 24. About 24 episodes. If I got that right. I should have it. I think that's right. I don't think we've lost any. Anyways, what do you guys think about that? I have had an idea for like a 2024 show, where it's just about what's going on now and what we can do within that frame to be on top of what's important, and I'm working towards those root cause solutions. But I know that I want to start branching out from YouTube, of course, more on Rumble, more on X. So a lot of the shows would be like, starts and finishes on other platforms, starts on all, finishes on other ones. So we could actually spread out and be more opinionated and actually speak freely. Also, a lot of rattling going on today around YouTube about policy changes, and we all kind of know in an election year they do a lot of work to kind of silence people. Some of the stuff has been read through today, and where's V radio? Control V. Thank you for this playlist, Shirley. There we go. Oh, thank you, Mimsy. She gifted a membership. Who got that membership? Wolfram. Wolfram got a membership. All right. Well, welcome to the winner's circle. And this is for you.
It's cold. A big warm Vietnam. It has to do. I can't imagine a more beautiful thing. It's cold. I can tell you all about it. I mean, look at this swing. Gonna try to the title anything.
All right. Congrats, Wolfram. Thank you, Mimsy. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. So since you guys are here, I'll give you a preview of something for Saturday night. Like I said, I've been trying to make Saturday night into like a kind of a full-on variety show with all kinds of different segments and so on like that. So I'm still working on that. But I did finish a new video for a segment that we'll be doing this Saturday night. It's called, you guys know it well. We started doing it a couple weeks ago on Winning Saturday Night. It's called Songs About You. Well, I came up with an intro for it. So you guys get a sneak peek of the intro. Here it is.
Songs about you. Songs about you. These are songs just about you. You never know what you're gonna get in time of songs about you. Songs about you. Songs about you. These are songs just about you.
There you go. Songs About You. It's got a new intro. And you guys were lucky enough to see it first right here. So you guys, what I did is I took all the thumbnails from all the songs that we made and put them into like a bullet kind of like track there. Little clips of those. So you might have seen your own song in there. You might have seen your own song. Maybe you probably saw yours. I saw the elephants in there. Shelly saw hers. I don't know if T-Rex is still here, but his was in the few of his are in there. But yeah, that managed to fit together really nicely. Yeah, so we're doing that this Saturday night along with Good News of the Week and also funny videos and the top 10 list. We'll try to do all of them this week, and let's have a good old time. And eventually, I'll bring back some interviews as we go. We'll just see. We'll see. I'm having fun doing the variety show the way it is, and we'll get guests as they come along. Maybe we'll do it like one guest a month or two guests a month or something like that. Try to keep it like confined so that there's still a lot more time for the show itself. And just see where that takes off this year. I wonder how it'll look a year from now, huh? We'll all be dancing. That's right. The dance-off contest winner, T-Rex Trucking right there. So all kinds of fun stuff like that happens on Saturday nights. And this Sunday, you saw the elephant. Yes. Awesome. Yeah, there's all three of them are in there. Yeah, but this Sunday we'll be doing part 4 of the Century of the Self, which has been a great series. We're having a lot of fun covering that. We watch about an hour. We watch an hour of that, a full episode, and then we go to over to the movie time. And movie time this week will be Animal House. So if you love Animal House, like the old school movies, come join us for some edutainment Sundays. So we got both, man. We got both. Myself and Shelly do that. That's Talking Trash Truth. She's out there in the crowd doing all the good work. Appreciate everything she does and everybody being here for all these episodes, for all the shows. I really do appreciate it. And for everybody on X and Rumble and the Rewatch crew, man, thank you guys so much for being part of that. We're trying to spread out to even more platforms as the year goes on. heard good things about Odyssey. I mean, why not just throw a feed over there? I don't know what that entails or how well people do on those platforms, but I'll be checking into that more and more. Also, you know, what to do with what we have, right? So X exclusive, Rumble exclusives, we can do things like that. We'll figure it out. I think X and Rumble are pretty much free speech now, so that's good. That makes it a lot easier, especially as the clamps come down. I think I'm not even sure. Like, you know, when they roll out new policies for YouTube, they go back and they run it through all your old videos. So like, you know, I had like one go down that was like my biggest one. It's like, you know, and it had already passed approval and everything. Like before, it had already gotten instated and passed appeals, and it was just fine. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, boom, they just came and took it. And even though I pointed out that it had already passed review once, they didn't care. They rejected it again. So, they're playing. That just kind of like this. I was like, man, come on, guys. Seriously. I mean, it's a year and a half old video that wasn't getting that many views. Like, why pull it down? Why do that? It makes no sense at all. But yeah, every time they unleash a new policy, everything gets reflagged, and then they go through and they do their bullshit. So, I'm just going to remove our consent from it eventually. And I think as time goes on, especially this year, and they play more of that BS, they'll lose more and more people, and it'll just help Rumble and X and other places go to better, grow and become more of a place to be, the main place, right? That would be awesome. I hope that 2024 opens that possibility up, and that we see a lot more of that happening, because content like this, content with purpose, needs a place. And obviously in this platform, this YouTube platform, they're making it very difficult to be anything but what they want. So what else could I say about that? But yeah, I'll see you guys back here. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I appreciate it. And I will be back here on Saturday night at 9 p.m. for Winning Saturday Night for a full show. We're going to have a blast. Can't wait to see you guys there. Thanks again. Thank you for all the super chats. Thanks for the rewatch crew. The crowd rocks. You guys rock, man. Rumble, X, everyone, wherever you are. Remember to keep on winning.
It's time to take a stand and repair our history. Thomas Sowell has shown us the way. It's time to start winning reality. We've been divided for far too long. It's time to come together and be strong. We can learn from our mistakes and make a brighter future for everyone. We have the power to make a change. All it takes is courage and faith. So let's stand up for what's right and make history together. This is a friendship that